Get your tea ready because we now have to do a full recap on Woody Allen because this woman took my Blake Lively video completely out of context and tried to put words in my mouth.
This creator is saying that part of the alleged smear campaign against Blake Lively somehow occurred years before she began filming It Ends With Us, when she was called out back in 2016 for being a part of the small group of women in Hollywood who still choose to work with Woody Allen.
Nope. Never said that. What I did say was this is what's going around. People are saying that Blake Lively defended Woody Allen when in fact she didn't. And the reason I believe this is going around is because of the attempted smear campaign on Blake Lively. People are drudging up everything from Blake Lively's past and running with it, whether it's true or not. So I wanted to clear up the misinformation. Also not true that there were a small group of women in Hollywood that still chose to work with Woody Allen. Pretty much everybody was still working with Woody Allen at that point.
I am guessing what this creator is trying to say is that part of the smear campaign against Blake Lively is people bringing up the fact that she was a part of a small group of women in Hollywood who decided to continue working with Woody Allen despite the allegations. And she said that it was nothing more than misinformation.
Nope, not true, but you did just admit that you guessed that. This had nothing to do with whether or not Blake still chose to work with Woody Allen, because that was a fact. That was true. What I was saying is that she didn't defend him. That's what's going around. People are saying she defended his actions. That's not true. And again, it's not true that it was a small group of women that chose to still work with him.
This creator explained that no one knew how to answer these questions because he was never charged with a crime. He was never found guilty of anything. Because in 2016, no one had any idea about the Woody Allen allegations.
I think you know where I'm going with this. Nope, not true again. I didn't say that people didn't know how to answer these questions because they didn't know about the allegations. Everyone knew about the allegations. The reason they didn't know how to answer this question is because the allegations were such a mess. We're going to get into all of that in just a minute. I will show you why no one knew how to answer that question.
When this creator discussed some of Woody Allen's allegations, it seemed to be in a very nonchalant manner, almost trying to insinuate that he was innocent of any wrongdoing, and then went on to talk about multiple other celebrities who have great things to say about him, kind of framing it like he's like this stand-up guy who has the support of a lot of people in Hollywood. So Blake Lively should not be facing any kind of retribution for working with him.
Nope, didn't insinuate any of that. And that is you making assumptions. And you know what they say about when you assume something. What I actually said was a brief recap of what he was charged with and then explained that he was never found guilty and he still claims he's innocent. Okay, enough of all of that. Now let's get into the recap on Woody Allen and what exactly was going on. So first of all, Blake Lively was in one of his films and she was interviewed about the situation. And this is what her response was. Blake was quoted as saying, "It's very dangerous to factor in things you don't know anything about. I know my experience, and my experience with Woody is he's empowering to women." So Blake was refusing to answer questions about the situation because she said she knew nothing about it. Not that she didn't know about the allegations. She just didn't know any of the context or what was true and what wasn't. So she chose not to answer it. And she said she can only go by her experience working with him on set. And it was her experience that he was empowering the women he was working with. At this time, lots of people were being interviewed asking questions about this, and they just didn't know how to answer because it was such a mess. Selena Gomez answered and said, "To be honest, I'm not sure how to answer, not because I'm trying to back away from it." Scarlett Johansson said, "It's not like this is somebody that's been prosecuted and found guilty of something, and you can then go, I don't support this lifestyle or whatever." Miley Cyrus said, "From the way I saw him with his family, I never saw him be anything but an incredible person and a really great dad. People might slam me for saying that." His good friends were still supporting him, like Diane Keating, who said, "Woody Allen is my friend and I continue to believe him. It might be of interest to take a look at the 60-minute interview from 1992 and see what you think." And Alec Baldwin was also a good friend of his at the time, and he said, "I worked with Allen 3 times and it was one of the privileges of my career." So the whole point of my video was to show the misinformation that's going around saying that Blake Lively defended Woody Allen's actions, because that is not true. Did she choose to work with him still? Yes, as did most people in Hollywood, and here's why. The whole situation surrounding Woody Allen at the time was just weird, convoluted, and extremely complicated. You had half the family saying that he did things to his 7-year-old daughter at the time, and the other half of the family saying he didn't. The New York Times had put together a really good piece on the situation with Woody Allen where they listed a whole timeline, so I'm going to use clips from this to explain exactly what was going on at that time. So let's start at the beginning. In 1977, Mia Farrow and her husband at the time, Andre Previn, adopt a daughter from Korea named Soon-Yi, who they believe is around 7 years old. And then in 1979, Mia Farrow and Woody Allen are introduced for the first time at a restaurant in Manhattan. In 1985, Mia Farrow adopts a baby girl who was born in Texas, and she names her Dylan. In 1987, Mia Farrow and Woody Allen have a son together who they name Ronan. Now, interesting to note, in 2013, Mia Farrow actually suggested that Frank Sinatra may have been the father of Ronan. In 1991, Woody Allen adopts Dylan, so the daughter that Mia had adopted in 1985, and he also adopts Moses, who is an adopted son of Mia's that she adopted in 1980. It is also believed that around this time in 1991, that Woody Allen started having an affair with Mia Farrow's adopted 21-year-old. So that would have been Soon-Yi, who was adopted from Korea. At this time, Woody Allen was 56 years old and Soon-Yi was only 21. The next month, Mia Farrow actually finds naked pictures of Soon-Yi in Woody Allen's apartment, so she realizes that they're having an affair. About 6 months later, on August 1st, 1992, Mia Farrow realizes that the affair is still going on, so she contacts Susan Coates, who is her family psychologist, claiming that Mr. Allen is satanic and evil, and she's begging the psychologist to help her find a way to stop him. And 3 days later, on August 4th of 1992, is the day that Dylan claims that she was 7 years old and Woody Allen touched her inappropriately. She claims that Woody, while she was playing with trains, told her to lay on her belly and he touched her genitalia. So August 4th is the day that Dylan says this happened, but it's not released yet, so no one knows about this, including Woody Allen. So on August 13th, he tries to sue Mia Farrow in court in New York to get custody of Ronan, Dylan, and Moses. August 17th, he releases a statement confirming to everyone that he's actually in a relationship with Soon-Yi and says that it is real and happily all true. That same day, it's also released that the Connecticut State Police announced that they are now investigating Woody Allen based on the claims from Dylan. The very next day, Woody Allen makes a public appearance and says that he's saddened by these accusations and that they're completely false. That November, Mia Farrow gets published in Vanity Fair talking all about her family and the allegations. And then just days later, he sits down for an interview on 60 Minutes defending himself against it. On March 18th, after a 7-month investigation, he's cleared of having done anything to Dylan. The very next day, the custody trial begins because, as I mentioned before, Woody Allen still wanted custody of the children. So he takes the stand and he testifies that Mia Farrow had threatened him and flew into fits of rage in front of the children. A few days later, Mia Farrow then takes the stand and she goes into detail about what Dylan had supposedly told her the previous summer about when she was playing with trains. And a few days after that, Mia Farrow's family psychologist, who she had contacted about the situation, took the stand as well. And she said she actually feared for Woody Allen's safety because of the threats made by Mia Farrow. She also said that Mr. Allen's relationship with Dylan was inappropriately intense, but not sexual. And then, of course, there were other experts and witnesses who took the stand. One of them was a psychiatrist who said that the report they did on Woody Allen was actually seriously flawed. And another was a sworn statement from a doctor who said that he believed Dylan was actually coached to say these things about Mr. Allen by Mia Farrow. He claimed that Mia had been interviewed about 9 times and that the details around her story kept changing. In June of 1993, Woody Allen loses the custody battle and Mia Farrow gets custody of the kids, and Woody isn't even allowed to have visitation with Dylan at that time. The judge actually called him insensitive, self-absorbed, and other things. Now, he did file to appeal, but the appeal was tossed. Now, December of 1997, he marries Soon-Yi. In November of 2013, Dylan goes on the record for the very first time with Vanity Fair telling all about what happened and the allegations against Woody Allen. She's quoted as saying, "There's a lot I don't remember, but what happened in the attic, I remember. I remember what I was wearing and what I wasn't wearing." On January 12th of 2014, Woody Allen received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Golden Globes, and his good friend Diane Keaton accepted it on his behalf. After this, on Twitter, Ronan, his adopted son, went and posted a message showing his disapproval, basically, for what had just happened. On February 1st, 2014, Dylan writes an open letter recounting her experience. On the 4th, Mia Farrow writes a post on Twitter showing her support for her daughter. And on February 5th of 2014, their other adopted son, Moses, responds to Dylan's open letter. Moses actually did a whole interview with People magazine at this time, saying that Mia Farrow coached all of the children to hate Woody Allen and that Dylan was never molested by him and that Mia Farrow was a bully. February 7th, Woody Allen comes out in the Times, denies the allegations again. In 2014 is when we had Diane Keaton, Alec Baldwin, etc. being interviewed about this and basically showing support for their friend. And on May 11th of 2016 is when Ronan wrote his article for The Hollywood Reporter, showing support for his sister and calling out anyone in Hollywood who would still work for Woody Allen. In December of 2017, Dylan writes another piece, but this time for the Los Angeles Times, and she brings up the hashtag Me Too movement, which was underway at that point, and she's asking the question, why has the hashtag Me Too revolution spared Woody Allen? And in January, the very next month, a lot of celebrities come out and say they will not work for him anymore. Some, like Timothy Chalamet, say that they're actually going to give back any of the salary they earned from movies that they worked on with him. And days later, Dylan actually goes on TV with Gayle King and does an interview for CBS This Morning talking about her allegations. And just months later in September, we hear for the first time from Soon Yi. She does an article for New York Magazine. They publish an interview with her where she talks about Mia Farrow saying that she has harsh parenting tactics, and she defends, of course, Woody Allen. And things just kind of kept going back and forth like that. In 2019, he tried to make a movie for Netflix. They end up canceling the movie on him after he spent millions, so he sues them. They settle for an undisclosed amount. Then he tries to write a book, and the company that was going to publish him backs out, but then he gets someone else to publish it. It just kept going. No one quite knew what side to believe. As for Soon Yi, my biggest question was, did she live with Mia Farrow and Woody Allen when she was a child? Like, this whole thing is just yuck. He ended up getting together with her, like I said, when he was 56 and she was 21. But according to her statement, she says that Allen was never a father figure to her and that she had no interactions with him as a child. And when they did the investigation through the court system, they found that during a custody trial, it was revealed that she and Allen actually rarely even spoke to each other before 1990. So that makes me think that perhaps she lived with Mia's ex and didn't live with Mia Farrow while she was dating Woody Allen for all those years. So Dylan still stands by what she says took place that day. Ronan still supports her. Soon Yi, of course, supports Woody Allen. But their other brother, Moses, says that it was all lies, constructed and coached by Mia Farrow. So circling back around and tying it all together, I believe that is why people like Blake Lively and everyone else were still working with Woody Allen. They didn't know what to believe. Some people were saying Mia coached her to say this because she caught Woody Allen having an affair. And some people are saying that you have to believe the victim and Dylan knows what happened to her at the age of 7. Bottom line is context is important. Look into things for yourselves before jumping to conclusions. And the things this creator were saying about me were things she was insinuating or putting words in my mouth. And that is not the case. At no point have I ever defended this man or said he's an upstanding citizen. I personally don't think anyone who could date a 21-year-old adopted daughter of your girlfriend and then marry her when you're 56 years old is something that I would respect or call an upstanding citizen. But again, that's just my opinion.